there, this is Åsa with a new process video. Today I'm going to work with these 3 photos taken from the window of the airplane when we were going on vacation. And I don't know if you remember, but I told you that we experienced 2 sunsets when we went away. And the first one was on ground, and then when we had taken off, we got to experience one more, because then we were much higher so that we can see the sun once again. And these 3 photos are sunset photos, and you know what happens when you take photos in sunset. That's one special lighting. And I'm going to use these 3 photos with a mixed media piece that I did with my oxides when they were just new. This is the first or the second attempt on playing with my oxides, and that will be the background for these 3 photos. So just in a couple of seconds I'll show you how I made that piece. The first thing I've done just here is to tape these 3 photos together to form one piece, and I'm trying out with different pattern papers to see if I can fill in the blanks or the empty spaces there with pattern paper, but I won't go with that. Instead I will just play around with a lot of color. I'm working on a large piece of watercolor paper, and this piece is a little bit less than 12 by 12 inches because I'm using a standard European size A3, and I'm cutting it down to the largest square that I can. And I will later come back and put a cardstock frame around this piece so that it becomes a full 12 by 12. Now I'm just playing around with the different shades of color that I have. I think that I will use all my colors on this piece, and I'm just trying to see what happens when I blend them, and what happens when I mix them with water, and yeah, what happens when when I just move them around on the page. So for helping me with this is a piece of plastic, just from, I think, from a little bag or something like that. And I'm mixing it with water, I'm drying it up with my heat tool, and then I'm starting all over again. And I think that a watercolor paper or something even thicker is good for this type of technique when you pour lots of water onto it. And I also would recommend a big towel or a roll of paper towels, just to always have your work area clean around the project, so that you don't mix colors too much and stain your ink pads. Now I'm using a little piece of bubble wrap. I just took 2 square inches or something like that and balled it up in my hand, and I'm dipping it in the color or the ink, and I'm dabbing it onto the work surface. And this was fun. It gives a lot of texture, and you have the total control in your hand. When you're working with just plastic, just a regular sheet of plastic, you have very little control. The paint runs wherever, but with the bubble wrap and relatively little water, you have lots of control and get the texture wherever you want it to be. I'm using a technique that I saw Tim Holtz do on, it was a video on YouTube that I saw before I purchased the inks, and he worked on heavy cardstock tags, and he just played around and lifted color off of his craft sheet, and it looked so much fun, and that's the technique that I'm trying to play with here. I have no other strategy than just covering up this white piece of paper. I have not treated the paper in any way before I do this technique, so it's just regular, pretty low price watercolor paper. But it will be completely covered up with color. The main thing that I love with these is these oxides is that they are slightly opaque. It's almost like they have this white-based pigment in them, so that you get this pastel feeling, and it's really gorgeous. And you can go over and over again and add more and more color. So the problem you might have with other colors and inks, that everything eventually turns brown or messy, or like, yeah, just mud, that is something that you don't have problem with here. And now I'm only using the oxides, and I can imagine that if you mix in other kinds of media, the effect would be really stunning as well. And now I'm just playing. I'm just covering my paper, and I'm trying to balance the colors with the texture, and just have fun. Now I'm picking up a piece of stamp, and this stamp was so sticky that I could have it on my fingers and get total control over where I place the stamp, and just it made it possible for me to use a small portion of the stamp and get these really smooth transitions or edges where the stamp imprint fades into nothing. and that was really fun. I don't think that you can do that with all stamps. I have stamps that barely stick to your acrylic block, but this one was just fresh and new, first time I ever used it, and it worked so good to just have it on my fingers. And when I got this far, I felt like, am I ever going to use this for anything? This is just a mess. But when you're planning on using a sheet like this in your scrapbooking, you know that you will be covering up some portion of it with photos. So in a way, I think that using mixed media for scrapbooking is quite forgiving compared to when you are using it as just a foundation for perhaps a text piece in an art journal or something like that. Here, it's okay if it becomes too much, because I will take away some of it by covering it with photos anyway. As you saw there, I sprayed the whole thing with water just to get that extra oxide effect out. Something happens when the paint or the ink, when you mix it with water, it becomes much more colorful, and you also get that extra opaqueness. Now, I don't know what it's called, but it's not translucent. it happens something with the paint when it's mixed with water. I can't explain it. But if you just rewind the video and you look when I have the paint on my craft sheet and then spray it with water, something happens. It becomes more vibrant, and it's at the same time it becomes like more pastel mixed with white in some sort of way. So now I'm just adding textures on this piece, and I love my new texture stamps. I have a couple of, they just look like cracks, and it gives so much texture and dimension and everything to the project, and I love them. I'm really happy that I decided to buy them, even though they cost me a couple of bucks. I think they was totally worth it, and since they are just textures, you can use them over and over again. It's not like buying a stamp of a girl with a dog. You can just make that many cards with that image, but with texture stamps you can use them forever and ever and ever, and I like that. I like that with a product. And I use the stamp a lot more, and color images like that example of the girl with a dog. And but I have pretty much, I don't do that more than for the Christmas cards these days, and in a way I miss it, because I really love the coloring, but I don't feel that I have time, and I don't send away a lot of cards anyway, so yeah, Christmas cards it is. Now I'm starting to feel done with this piece, and I will move on to the scrapbooking. When I had done the background, the idea to cover up the gaps in between the photos with pattern paper, I totally let that one go, because now I want to keep this sheet as much as possible but still use the photos. So no more than the photos, and just a couple of small embellishment clusters in 3 different spots on the page. That's what's going to happen from now. I'm also going to make a title, and I'm going to stamp a little bit with a roller stamp, because I think that the effect of black stamping on top of this beautiful background, it's stunning. Just listen to what I said on my last video. I'm explaining my sentimental kind of memories of pastel and black, yeah, from my childhood. Now I'm making a cardstock frame. I'm choosing blue because there's a lot of blue in the photos, and by choosing blue I'm also picking up a bit on the blue in the background, I think. And the pink, you can see the pink in the background, it draws out some of the pink in the sunset, and I love that. I was so happy to have a seat by the window when we went on the trip. When we came back home, I was sitting more towards the aisle of the airplane, and that wasn't as much fun. When the people sitting next to me, when they went to the bathroom, I snuck over to the window and I took a couple of photos. but that was just really quick ones. Anyway, now I'm trying to see what can I do. Do I need to ground these embellishment clusters or not? And I will end up making these clusters smaller and smaller and smaller, and these large pieces that I'm cutting out now with the chevrons there, they won't be there when the layout is done. I wanted to just pull on some of this golden tint that's in the photos, and in the collection, the Chimel collection Go Now Go, there was a couple of acetate die cuts that had gold on just translucent non-colored acetate, and that became an idea that I decided to stick with towards the finished project. So I choose 3 of those to go with this layout. One of the die cuts is actually a little airplane, and it has got clouds and some sort of like a banner of flags floating right next to it, but I cut away that colorful banner. You'll see that in a little bit. And when I'm working on this, I feel that the colors of the sunset and the colors of my background, they are really complementing each other and lifting up these beautiful colors that I saw through the window. These were the kind of photos that I really wanted to take. And this summer, now when we are going on summer vacation, we are actually going away for a couple of days with the kids, and we are taking a plane there, and it's going to be the first time they are on an airplane. So it's really special, and I hope that we will have at least one window seat among the 4 of us, so that everyone can look out the window. I hope they won't be scared, but we are trying our best to just tell how much hubby and I like to fly, and yeah, we'll concentrate on that. I'm using my wonderful mini attacher here to just assemble the clusters to make them stick together, because they were quite I have many pieces and I just want them to stick together so that I can put them behind the photo block. I'm also very thorough with the inking of the edges, because since the background is so messy and it's got all these colors and they are deep colors and they are soft and everything, when I have a die cut that has really crisp white edges, that would really look odd, I think. So I'm inking everything just to make it go better together with the ink. The title for this page will be Wings. I'll write the title in Swedish with thickest. And when I made the page, I had a couple of different suggestions for a title, but I wanted to go with something that had to do with flying. But I already felt that I had done the up and away thing, and I wanted to be perhaps a bit more philosophical. And I remember a tune from way back, a Swedish tune, where is a man singing, and he sings that he's going to buy wings for all the money that he has earned throughout his working life, and he's been struggling hard to work and earn money, and he's going to buy wings, and he's going to fly and just look down on everything, and that's it's very philosophical. and I recently turned 40, and I've been thinking a lot of about life and yeah, why we're why I'm here and what I want to accomplish with my life. And I have kind of set a lot of my older these feelings that you need to do this and that to be successful, and you need to be successful and everything. I've tried to just get away from that and kind of just figure out what I want to do. For example, I really like to cuddle my cat. This is Cosmos, and he has changed so much over the last couple of months. Suddenly he's so very, very cuddly, and he comes to greet you, and he wants to be on your lap, and in the morning he sits on my chest when I'm supposed to get out of bed, and he's completely changed. I think he's done with raising our other cat. I think he took on some strange, daddy role there when we got our second cat, and he wanted to be tough and grumpy. And now he feels perhaps that work is done, and he is back to being very, very gentle and very affectionate, and we love that, all of us. Yeah. Anyway, so wings it is. And not that I'm buying wings for my well-earned money, but at the same time, this is the first vacation we have gone for, and it cost a couple of bucks, I must admit that, and we felt that we really treated ourselves to this trip, but it was also very necessary because we wanted to get away and just spend time together and be together. And in a way, that was what we did. We bought wings for our hard-earned money, and I had that song in my head while I was making the layout, so it was really natural to call it this. And Vingar, it means wings in Swedish. And now I'm just stamping to get that little extra pop of black against the color. I love the effect. I also drew a pen line all around the photo block to make it stand out a little bit more. Yeah, asking hubby if it's okay. And apparently it was, so here's the finished page. I love the colors. Isn't it just gorgeous? I think that I have captured the sunset on the plane, airplane wings really well with that background. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon again. Take care. This is Åsa. Bye!